For the first time ever, I will be taking two similar exhibits and putting them against one another to determine which is better. Nocturnal House versus Nocturnal House. The Cincinnati Zoo's Night Hunters versus the Memphis Zoo's Animals of the Night. To decide a winner, I will be judging each exhibit based on 5 different categories that will ultimately decide which is more suitable for our fellow creatures of the night. With all of that, let's get to category number 1, theming and immersive qualities. Does a zoo exhibit really need theming to be considered good? No, but Memphis is up there with the kings of themes. It's the biggest reason why I keep coming back here. With Animals of the Night, exhibits are tightly packed together, so there really isn't much room for all the razzle-dazzle. So your experience can be a bit monotonous, and outside of the stars and vegetation on the ceiling, along with this well-detailed bat cave, actually 2 bat caves, and the smell, the theming and immersion kind of ends there. Night Hunters is very similar, but they actually got rid of their smell by just throwing away their carpet. They also have fake vegetation on the ceiling, but it doesn't help the fact that the guest side of things is still bare and kinda ugly. The murals are what give this building some life, minus the animals. The back walls help just a little bit by putting you in a forest setting, and most exhibits have painted, sometimes photorealistic backdrops themed to the species on display. So by not much of a stretch, round 1, we'll go to the Cincinnati Zoo's Night Hunters. Round 2, education. Memphis, right off the bat, commits one big no-no. According to those who live to critique zoos, Animals of the Night uses electronic signs. I know, the horror. Some people don't like them because if or when they don't work, you're usually left with a crinkled paper sign. Pettiness aside, whoever put these together did their best to fill in as much unique info about each species as they could. Info that I didn't even know about. And on top of that, the bat display comes with a side of inspiration for the locals and teaches all who feel like reading how the bats are struggling in the state of Tennessee. Over in the Queen City, detailed and creative signage is all around the zoo, especially in the insect house. Now for Night Hunters, it's an exception. They have this saving species station that talks about their past conservation work, but it doesn't really go into much depth at all. Some people go to zoos to learn and be inspired, but Night Hunters is best fit for amateur poetry writers, and that is why Animals of the Night wins round 2. Round 3, visibility. Nocturnal houses usually have 2 complaints. What is that smell? And the more relevant one, how the heck are you supposed to see anything in here? Memphis keeps their lights on for the first hour and a half every day to the public, but I will be judging these based on their visibility and dark mode. Memphis uses red lighting, blue lighting, and sometimes a no lighting system at all. To cut to the chase, I'll just say that it can be a bit too dark at times. Yeah, you're right, it is more natural that way, but for just a second, forget that the lights are on to start out the day. And imagine driving 8 hours to see some of the rarest zoo animals in the world only just to see their silhouette. Night Hunters also runs that electric bill high for 1 hour each day. The catch is, it's for early entry members only. However, over the last couple of years, I've noticed they're left on a little after that for the general public. It also uses a blue lighting system, my personal favorite, but of course, as I was writing this, many of the exhibits are now draped in red, which makes it way harder to see, but apparently it's better for the animals, so I digest. Lights on, lights off, doesn't matter. Despite the logo, there are never any silhouettes in Night Hunters. Round 4, number of rare species. Memphis isn't famous for its rarities, pandas aside, although that doesn't apply anymore. Before I came here, I had no idea what gems I would run into as of April 2023. Animals of the Night showed off 26 beautiful creatures consisting of the country's very few banded palm civets, genets, slender lorises, greater bush babies. I very rarely come across ringtails, pottos, wombats, night monkeys, and the only Sulawesi bear cuscus in the Western Hemisphere. They've toned it down over the last decade, but the Cincinnati Zoo was a world leader, not just in conservation, but conservation for rare, endangered, and pretty much unheard of species. I miss those days, and a lot of it happened in this building when it was known as the Cat House. When Night Hunters took over, they combined the Cat House roster with the old Nocturnal house, losing some rarities in the process. Today, they still have pottos, ringtails, and spotted genets, but the only thing they can really boast against Memphis is maybe the black-footed cats and one of the country's few aardwolves. Maybe 20 years ago, the winner would be a little different, so Memphis wins round 4 in a landslide. Now for the last round, exhibit quality. The other 4 categories catered towards humans. Now it's time to judge them based on what's best for the animals. Nocturnal houses are frowned upon. Some might be against keeping mammals indoors 24/7, and the exhibits are barren and small. And honestly, I can agree with the second one. Memphis has some breathtaking features, but nearly half the zoo could use some work. And I'm not necessarily saying that Animals of the Night needs an overhaul, but more natural substrate would be nice. And some animals could use some replacing or at least moving. Aardvarks, porcupines, civets, and especially the genet. So I don't mislead anyone. It has 2 connected exhibits with an overhead tube, but that's still way too small. The designers tried to pull a sneaky one on you into thinking that some of the enclosures are endless by lining the back walls with mirrors. It's a cool trick, but at the end of the day, the animals still have a smaller space than what it seems. Night Hunters may have opened in 2011, but just about everything you see was constructed in the mid-80s. And they honestly didn't really change much other than the carpet and the lights. It's 2 times bigger than Animals of the Night, and so is the average exhibit, which means they win, right? I rated each individual exhibit from both buildings based on a 3-star system. 1, not so good. 2 is okay, and 3 is excellent. Animals of the Night received an average of 2 out of 3 stars, while Night Hunters received 1.6 out of 3, meaning, to me, the Memphis Zoo has the better Nocturnal house. Woo! Now what did this solve? Nothing, it's just for fun. But I did choose them because they're easy to film, they're kind of similar, they're one of America's few nocturnal houses, and I find Animals of the Night very underrated, while Night Hunters doesn't exactly have the best reputation. In fact, I want you to click on the link in the comments below that shows what I would do if I were to replace Night Hunters. Now with that, as always, please stay tuned, stay wild, and thank you for watching Zoo Tours.